issues with our last broadcast. YouTube decided to mute it because of copyright, so we're going to redo it. Welcome to the Danny and Chris Show. I'm Chris, and I'm joined by Danny. We're doing a weekly radio show for the league where we're just going over some stats, going over recaps of game, preview games, and whatever else we really feel like talking about. So, I think we're going to go look at some recaps first of the first, well, we got 3 weeks of games now, so we could take a look at a couple of those. Of the games that have already been played this week, wow, there's a lot of games that have been played this week. We got, well, as we predicted, the Texans absolutely crushed the Patriots' soul by beating me by 3 points in overtime. I don't know, did you watch any of that, Danny?
I did watch Brock after the first half, and you go down into the red zone and either turn it over or take a field goal.
Yeah. Brady had a perfect passer rating through 2 games, and then I go to the Texans, and I can't do anything but kick a field goal or fumble the ball or intercept it and throw an interception. So that was awfully disappointing, considering I predicted pretty much everything he was doing, and still found a way to lose the game. But yeah, then we got Fareed pulling out a big win against Chris to avoid going 0-3.
Yeah, first one of the season for you.
Yeah, so we got.
You can get him off of that.
We got.
Chris is miserable.
Oh, I'm sure. They were. I mean, I would say they were probably 2 of our top 5 players last year, even though Fareed never won a Super Bowl. But yeah, to have both starting out at 1 and 2 is pretty surprising, even though Bears are a pretty mediocre team.
Yeah.
What else we got? Game that just finished. David destroyed Steven. Apparently, he stayed true to form. A lot of passing in that game. Well, actually, I guess wasn't too bad. Only 18 attempts.
Combined 81 yards rushing.
Yeah, well...
I don't know what the hell happened in that game.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's a big win for David. He goes to 3-0 on the year, and looking like the early favorite in that division.
I think the 49ers are taking a dive.
Yeah.
They just want high draft picks.
I mean, they're trading for draft picks from teams that aren't doing great, and then they're starting out 1 and 2 right now. So
yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised. I know they need a QB in just about every other position because they're trying to trade them all away. So, wow. Steven put up 50 against the CPU Eagles. We've had a lot of high-scoring CPU games. I don't know if that's because of scripting on the CPU part or just because, well, they're predictable. But, yeah. What else we got going?
Big Ben throwing for over 4.
Ben 3 for 400. Yeah, well, 50-point game. Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
And just for those of you who missed it, just a quick, I mean, we had some like 30 views. There's only 22 people in the league, so I'm sure most of you got a chance to watch it. But just in case you didn't, some big games from the last 2 weeks. We had the Jets starting out really hot. They had a game-winning field goal to win 1, and then absolutely crushing their opponent in week 2. Panthers are starting out really good. They're 2-0 right now. I don't think they played their game this week.
Yeah, they play the Vikings, which will be a good game. Vikings are 2-0.
Yeah,
One of them will get their first loss.
that's two newcomers who have been very impressive so far this season. We have AB returning and pretty much continuing where he left off, beating most people, and then he'll probably lose in the NFC Championship game or something like that. But
what I see is Matthew Stafford. Does he continue his streak to get 8 yards passing this season?
Well, yeah, I guess that leads us into, we could go look at the stat leaders for right now, just quickly.
All right.
But yeah, I think even though he hasn't played this game this week, if I had to predict, I'd say that he's probably still leading the league in yards. Oh no, he's not there anymore, but he's not behind by much. Only 200 yards behind Roethlisberger. And I expect he'll probably be leading by 200 yards again by the end of this week, just because that's the way his games have been going. He was the one with the, 523 yards passing in week 1, and close to 400 in week 2. So, I guess he's finally playing like a number 1 overall pick.
Yeah.
But and then we got some huge rushing numbers for only being 3 weeks in. Robert Turbin averaging 180 a game, 3 people over 150 a game, but it went down at the start of this week. We had, I think it was 10 people over 130, and now we only got 3 over 130 a game. So that's a good sign. Hopefully those will continue to balance out. I guess we got a couple more there down lower that I didn't see. And then receiving, Gronk is leading the league in receptions right now, and yards per game. But since he's probably the best receiver in the game, the highest rated anyways, if you count tight ends and wide receivers. So I'm not going to beat myself up too much for that. What else we got going on? We had a couple more trades since last we talked, but we'll just recap those quickly because we already went over them once. You still here, Dan?
Yeah.
Okay. Alright, so we had our first CPU trade of the season. We're trying to limit CPU trades for the most part so that when people join the league, their team's not depleted. But if you want to trade for a role player from the CPU, the trade committee will consider that. So the Eagles pick up Green Beckham. He started the season on the Titans, right? But when we waited for the roster update,
he was on the Titans, and I have no idea why they traded him for a left guard, but they did.
Yeah, I'm sure you're disappointed in that since your receivers aren't great right now.
Yeah, I don't understand the trade. I gotta roll with it.
Then we have the Cowboys picking up Michael Brockers. That one, I mean, Frankie needs to rebuild. His draft picks are gone because of the Goff trade, so I can see him picking up some more, and they're normally pretty high. And if Reed keeps going this way, his draft picks will be pretty high, so that's a good pickup for Frankie.
Chiefs made some signings this week with Eric Berry and Dontari Poe.
Did they?
2 key players for that defense.
They signed.
And they got paid that way.
Oh, they're re-signs. Okay. Let me go to that.
Yeah.
Who do we got here? Oh, wow. Yeah, two $40 million plus contracts. That's not bad at all. and we just picked up a new Chiefs user who's hopefully joining the league now or is already in.
Yeah, just picked up a user as well.
What team was that? Sorry.
The Dolphin.
Oh, Dolphins. All right, nice. I get another user in my division, which I certainly appreciate. I'm kind of sick of playing the CPU and having them come back on me every fourth quarter. Browns re-signed Gordon. That, well, I guess it's a good thing we're not using suspensions in this league. Let's see, I guess we could just take a look at some upcoming games. See if there's any good ones coming up. We got
Week 4.
Yeah, we got Seth and AB still to go this week, and I don't think they've released a time for that yet. But
I think it's 3 o'clock tomorrow, actually.
Oh, that's perfect. Just right in the middle of the workday, you take a look on your computer and minimize it when your boss comes around, and there you go.
That's gonna be a good one. We get to see who's the contender or who's the pretender.
Yep. And Vikings Panthers, we talked about that a little bit. And Frankie against Nish for maybe number 1 overall pick. I mean, you got to throw Manny in there too, but Nish is struggling a little bit this season.
Yeah, Nish, he sounds like he's ready for a first round pick and the first pick overall.
He's got a good track record drafting. Well, I guess he's got a good track record drafting QBs, but with Winston there, he doesn't really need that, and he's missed on every other position. So maybe look for that pick to get traded down the line. Try to pick up some other pieces. But all right, next week we got, who do we got here? Lions and Bears. Wow. I if Stafford keeps going the way he's going, I'd expect Chris's first rant of the year in general chat. Maybe.
Oh, I can see that.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Bullshit spectacular catches and everything else that he's known for for saying. So I'll definitely be looking out for that. And then Nish and Manny continue with maybe their quest for the number 1 overall pick. They get to play each other. So Nish has a good 2 weeks coming up. He's got 2 good chances to get back to even. And then, this should be another fun one to watch or hear about afterwards. We got Fareed playing Steven. Fareed, who is known for his, I guess, middle of the field play. And, yeah, so I guess I'll probably tune into that one just to see how that goes. Anything else that we should talk about? I don't really feel like talking about the rules again, but I mean, everybody just go to the Daddy Leagues page. It's daddyleagues.com/FBOS53/rules. Check them out. It explains the waiver wire. It explains the trade committee. We've had one person kicked for violating the trade committee rules already and not being willing to fix it. So make sure that doesn't happen to you. Anything else?
No, just sick of seeing Ohio State players in the draft board.
Oh,
5, 2 of them are from Ohio State.
Yeah, I guess I was gonna do this next week, but since it's here now, we could take a look at it. So some changes to drafting this year. The first unlock, I guess it's called, unlock, is it starts out at 15 points rather than 5. So you really need to pay attention to your offensive and defensive needs chart over on the left-hand side of your screen when you're drafting, because you're not going to be able to draft everybody you want. Even if you have the extra draft points because of the coach trait, which I would recommend everybody pick up, you're still not going to be able to do that. So that's one of the big changes. The other big change, which we can't see now, is that the combine stats are flexible. So if you see somebody that ran 4.24, they're not guaranteed to be 98 speed or whatever the chart that a lot of people would look at last year would say. They could be anywhere from 99 to 96. So just because somebody has a specific combine score, there's still some fluctuation there, which is a nice change that, I mean, I like the change. It adds a little bit more unpredictability to the draft. But yeah, I'd expect a lot of people to take QBs this year. So if you're not close to the top, don't expect a QB. Probably the same with corners and receivers. But
or Buckeyes in the top 11, top 13.
Well, I mean, you can always change their school, and that's one of the nice new features this year is you can edit players, change their names, change their schools. If you really hate Ohio State or USC or whoever.
In the general chat, there's those graphs that Steven posted a while ago. Have you been using them to progress your players, where it tells you what category you should use?
I've been using them a little bit. There are certain positions where I don't like to follow it too much, and I'm not a big believer in awareness, so I kind of ignore awareness, and that also helps me keep my contracts down when it comes to re-sign people. But yeah, I would definitely check that out. Anybody in Slack, those are pinned in either the league chat or the general chat. But if you want to upgrade your players and get them to a higher overall quickly, it tells you how Madden, how they determine the ratings. So like block shedding is huge for defensive line or whatever else, and wide receivers release really isn't that important. QBs throw on the run isn't that important. I mean, you may use it, but it's not that important for their rating. So recommend you check it out if you want higher rated players. Yep, good looking out, Danny. Anyways, I think that's pretty much it. Free agents are open to everybody for this week. So if you are 500 or over, you can now sign free agents for the next 46 hours or so before we advance again. So check that out, see if you can improve your team. And yeah, anything else?
No, we'll get past week 4. We'll take a look at stats, may make an adjustment to sliders, but that things have been good. There hasn't really been cheese. There's just been poor AI.
Yeah, I mean, we're used to playing all Madden. We played it all last season, and I mean, eventually, if the league gets filled, we might move there again. But you got to make some defensive adjustments for your players in All Pro because they don't react as well. So hopefully, people are able to make those soon, and we can get some of these stats down. But anyways, I think that's our show for the week. And yeah, so next week we'll recap a couple of the other games that we watched. Look ahead again, and contracts are up next week. I already did it for this week, so I can't go through it with you guys now, but maybe we'll go over the changes to re-signs next week. And thanks for tuning in. We'll be back next week, probably around this date, or this time of the week again. And yeah. All right. Good night.